The Yautja, also known as the Predators, are regarded as some of the most ruthless extraterrestrial hunters in the history of pop culture. Characterized by advanced technology and relentless hunting activities for sport and honor, they started out by hunting the ultimate prize, aka the Xenomorphs, but they don't shy away from hunting other species such as humans. As they became a classic villain in pop culture history, Dark Horse Comics released a series of crossovers where they interacted with all kinds of superheroes, ranging from Batman and Superman to more niche characters like Judge Dredd. Today, we've curated a list of some of the most bizarre Predator crossovers that we never knew existed, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. Before we get too deep into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Archie versus Predator. To kick this list off, we have the 4-issue crossover comic series titled Archie vs. Predator, which was released as a collaboration between Dark Horse and Archie Comics Publications. It was written by Alex DeCampi and penciled by Fernando Ruiz, among others, and the 4 issues were released between April and July 2015. The comic series follows Archie and friends as they travel to Costa Rica for spring break and eventually catch the eyes of the trophy-collecting predators. While they don't realize that they're in danger, the predators follow them back to Riverdale, and the gang soon deduces that they might be after Betty and Veronica. To deal with them, they decide to dress Jughead in a drag costume to lure the hunters in, and the comic soon takes a dark turn as the Predator starts targeting civilians and causing lots of casualties. Finally, the comic's last issue focuses on Betty and Veronica, basically the last 2 survivors, as they set aside their differences to team up and get rid of the Predator threat once and for all. This comic was followed by a sequel series, Archie vs. Predator 2, which was released in 2019 after a 4-year gap. Predator vs. Judge Dredd vs. Aliens. In 2016, Dark Horse Comics collaborated with IDW Comics to release a 4-issue Predator vs. Judge Dredd vs. Aliens comic, Splice and Dice. It was written by John Layman and illustrated by Chris Mooneyham, and it served as a sequel to previous crossover series such as Predator vs. Judge Dredd and Judge Dredd vs. Alien Incubus. The first issue introduced Judge Dredd as he fought against the Supreme Hunters, aka the Predators, while both these parties faced an incoming attack in the form of the aliens. To make matters worse, the second issue followed Dredd as he follows a criminal cult leader and ends up in the Alabama morass, where a gene scientist named Dr. Reinstadt has gotten his hands on a xenomorph skull. Meanwhile, a group of predators also arrive on Earth and wander into Reinstadt's territory, who's captured one of their fellow predators for one of his experiments. While Judge Dredd ends up at the door, Reinstadt throws an apocalypse party to celebrate the fact that he's acquired some xenomorph DNA. And the story spirals out of control when he steals a Predator ship and heads to Mega City 1. However, things don't seem to be going as smoothly as he could have hoped, as the Predators and Dredd jump into action and follow him in the hopes that they can put a stop to his plans for good. Batman vs. Predator. Published by Dark Horse Comics and DC Comics in 1991, Batman vs. Predator was the first part of a trilogy crossover series featuring the Dark Knight and the Mighty Hunters. It was written by Dave Gibbons with art by Andy and Adam Kubert, and it was soon followed by Batman vs. Predator 2, Blood Match, and Batman vs. Predator 3, Blood Ties. The first comic crossover kicked off with a boxing match in Gotham City, which was soon followed by the gruesome murder of one of the contenders. As Batman investigates the crime, he suspects the opponent boxer before sensing that the grim nature of the death, including the spine and skull removal, might hint at the involvement of otherworldly forces. He soon attempts to defuse any conflict between the 2 opposing mobs while also tracking the murderer down to an abandoned scrapyard. Here, he comes across the mighty Predator and almost dies while facing him, but somehow makes it back to Wayne Manor and treats his injuries. While he maintains a low profile to recover faster and face the Predator again, the latter takes this opportunity to target other entities and even hunt down Commissioner Jim Gordon. Eventually, the National Guard and SWAT teams even set up a countdown for Batman's return, who uses a custom-designed exoskeleton suit to enhance his strength and deal with his grave injuries. Even though he struggles to even walk around, Batman wears this suit and bravely steps out to face the Predator, who's finally defeated with some help from Alfred Pennyworth. As the Yautja struggles to bounce back from his injuries, he commits honor suicide by delivering the final blow on his own. Batman sighs in relief. However, he knows that the threat is far from over, and this crossover comic was such a huge hit that Dark Horse Comics followed it with 2 more series that pitted the Dark Knight against the Predators. Superman vs. Predator. Written by David Michelini and illustrated by Alex Maleev, Superman vs. Predator was a 3-issue limited crossover comic released in May 2000. It was published by DC Comics and Dark Horse Comics, and the comic issues were released on a monthly basis until July 2000. The plot revolves around Superman as he's sent to investigate a mysterious alien ship in the depths of the Central American jungles, where he soon finds himself stricken by a power-draining virus. Moreover, the Predator senses his arrival from a distance and immediately makes him his next target, while the Man of Steel struggles to keep his strength intact. However, he lacks the strength to face the Predator in his current state, and he even ends up getting captured by a mad scientist before finally escaping and finding himself face-to-face with the intergalactic hunter. This comic crossover had many subplots that followed Superman's attempts to free prisoners from a terrorist organization, and he manages to free them in the nick of time while also dodging the Predator's attacks. As the comic progresses, the prisoners manage to escape into the forest while Superman decides to head back and face the Predator, who gathers weapons to face the Man of Steel and make him his next trophy. The issue culminated in a nail-biting finale where Superman has to think of a way to outwit the Predator and prevent him from taking control of the Earth. The Justice League of America vs. Predator. Released as a one-shot prestige format crossover in 2001, JLA vs. Predator was the combined effort of DC Comics and Dark Horse Comics. It was written by John Ostrander and penciled by Graham Nolan, and it followed the Justice League of America as they fought against a team of superpowered predators. To make things even more interesting, these predators were designed by an alien race with the intention of defeating the Justice League, and this comic followed up on some storylines introduced in crossovers, such as Batman vs. Predator and Superman vs. Predator. After hunting the Dark Knight and the Man of Steel, the Predators were determined to go after the entire Justice League, viewing them as a thrilling hunting challenge. They make attempts to kill the most powerful heroes of mankind, but their sheer strength wasn't enough to defeat these superheroes, and a rogue Dominion geneticist then helped them transform into meta-predators. These Predator variants were essentially charged with superpowers similar to that of the Justice League, including Superman's strength, Plastic Man's morphing powers, and the Flash's speed. As the comic progressed, these super predators soon began the hunt of a lifetime, while the Justice League of America geared up to tackle them in an exciting crossover. Motorhead vs. Predator. Motorhead vs. Predator, also known as Motorhead No. 1, was written by D.G. Chichester and penciled by Carl Waller for Dark Horse Comics in August 1995. It was a part of the Hunting the Heroes, The Predators Attack comic crossover event, where several iconic Dark Horse characters were hunted by this extraterrestrial species. Motorhead vs. Predator was preceded by Batman vs. Predator 2, Blood Match, and was soon followed by Agent of Law Issue 6 and X, Hell Knight. The story focused on Motorhead as he embraced his absurdity and brutal nature and made a comeback in a self-titled series where his very first opponent was a predator who had landed in Steel Harbor. This creature also seems to be in pursuit of a worthy opponent and a challenge, and it doesn't take long for the Predator to set his eyes on Motorhead in an exciting debut issue of the latter's independent comic series. Predator vs. Magnus, Robot Fighter. Predator vs. Magnus, Robot Fighter was a 2-issue limited crossover series that was published by Dark Horse Comics in collaboration with Valiant Comics. Written by Jim Shooter and John Ostrander, this comic was illustrated by Lee Weeks and released in November '92. This comic was released between the two Batman vs. Predator crossovers, and it followed a Predator as he stalked North Am 4001 in search of the Exo Man-O-War helmet. It seemed like the helmet was a prized possession that was soon discovered by Magnus, whose strength and ability to mash steel effortlessly had earned him a reputation as the Robot Fighter. As the comic progressed, the Predator and Robot Fighter face each other in one of the fiercest battles of the 41st century, where only one of them is slated to survive. Tarzan vs. Predator. Published by Dark Horse Comics in early 1996, Tarzan vs. Predator at the Earth's Core was a 4-issue limited crossover series written by Walter Simonson and illustrated by Lee Weeks. The story begins with Tarzan, the Lord of the Jungle, who views the Pellucidar at the center of the Earth as sacred ground. However, things take a turn when the Predators view this primeval forest as a hunting ground and start killing some of its greatest warriors and beasts. Moreover, Tarzan soon learns that his friend, David Inez, who once ruled over Pellucidar, has gone missing, and he immediately embarks on an adventure to investigate his whereabouts and look into the massacres. While the people of Pellucidar are relieved that Tarzan is on his way to deal with the Predators, the Lord of the Jungle soon realizes that the Predators are not an easy threat and that they have started a war. Soon enough, the Ancient of Days, known as the last surviving winged sauroid with telepathic abilities, views this opportunity to establish her race, aka the Mahar, as the new rulers of Pellucidar. As the comic comes to an end, Tarzan finds himself in a fierce climactic battle against the Predators, while the Ancient of Days also strives to establish her power amidst all the chaos. Marvelous verdict! And with that, we've explored some of the most bizarre Predator crossovers, ranging from their interactions with Judge Dredd and members of the Justice League, to some more mild crossovers that involved the Riverdale Squad. We hope you enjoyed exploring them with us, and let us know your favorite picks in the comments down below.